Hi, welcome back to the Cuzzy Sound channel. One of the recent Raw exhibitions had the theme of sticks and stones, and it's been on in the Raw Buzz Gallery in Rotherham over the month of June. Now, for my part, one of the ideas I wanted to pursue was looking at the textures of wood and stone and kind of putting the two together and kind of sort of getting a feel for what the topography, if you like, of the two materials can look like. What I decided to do was use a technique that I remember doing this way back when I was in school. And it's the one where you do rubbings, like bark rubbings was one of the things we did in school, and we could compare the different textures of bark from different trees, which is part of how I got the idea for this exhibition anyway. Now, fortunately, our local church is not too far away, and there is a selection of well-established trees and old stone, or stone that's had some weathering, so it's got interesting textures. It's kind of in and around the church itself. So I armed myself with a pad of paper and a box of nice chunky wax crayons, and went out to do wax rubbings of tree bark and stone. Now, I made quite a few of these, and it was reasonably successful. So I brought them back home, and the next thing I decided to do was I wanted to not just have the plain wax rubbings, but kind of bring the textures out a little bit more, rather than just sitting on a blank sheet, on a white sheet of paper. So what I decided to do was to use a very watery acrylic paint wash and paint over the wax rubbings that I collected. Now, what this does is it goes from being kind of a top coat to a background coat in between the wax, and allows the wax to kind of pop through the watery paint, because obviously the watery paint won't stick to the wax. So it kind of gives a kind of a lift, if you like, to the actual wax textures. But that's kind of what I was aiming for. What I did then was select examples of wood, as in tree bark and stone, and mount those on foam board and present those as my exhibits, which did in fact end up in the exhibition. While I was making the rubbings out in the field, my wife kindly recorded what I was doing, just using a phone. And I've taken those videos and edited them into a really short film of kind of how I collected the textures. Well, having got film, what I also decided to do was to have some background music for it. So I set about composing some music specifically for the film, put the two together, and I have a short film titled Textures. That short film follows shortly, but if you want to just hear the music itself, then there's a link down below to my Bandcamp page where you can hear the music as composed. It's not working, this.